The moment is here, you can stop your search. It's Comics by Perch.
Hey everybody, this is Perch. Chances are by the time this video comes out, you'll already know all the answers to this. But so this is kind of a fun, did it play out? So I want you to listen to this video as, did it play out the way this viewer thinks it did? And what do you think of the overall does it matter kind of approach? So there's a couple different ways you could take on, but really looking for your insight, your input as to kind of comic book fake outs, this idea that everything goes on forever and nothing can really evolve or change because it's got to remain kind of trapped in a status quo. That's a complaint I hear a lot from creators, honestly, that one of the downsides to comics is that they never can change. They can never evolve. And I always find that a very weird take because I think there's plenty of opportunity to write new storylines, create new characters, evolve, and push things forward. To me, reading Batman, reading Spider-Man, reading the X-Men through the years, lots has changed. I mean, I guess it's all in how you look at it, but I mean, look, if you're reading the X-Men during the Chris Claremont, John Byrne, Dark Phoenix saga, and you kept reading it and don't even get into Krakoa kind of craziness, but if you kept reading it, there were a lot of changes. I mean, yes, it's true. None of the characters got old and died of old age, or they didn't have, a character that I don't know, got hit by a car or anything. But I mean, actually probably the characters got hit by cars all the time. They just didn't hurt them. Anyway, the comics change. I find that a very weird take, or it's a very narrow version of what change has to be. I think that if you kind of walk into things as a writer saying, I can never change anything, everything's got to stay exactly as it is, I think you've just defeated yourself. You played yourself. I think you've signed yourself up to do a fairly uninteresting story. There's no reason you have to do that. There's no need for your stories to feel like nothing can change because you can change all kinds of things. You can have them evolve. No, you can't nuke the entire title and blow up the characters and replace them with new ones just on a whim. I mean, that is what Marvel has started to do in some cases, and DC, and it fails miserably, and everybody bitches that they can't change anything. But is that the only change you can do? Anyway, this mail is the latest, the tinfoil hat time regarding Amazing Spider-Man. So here we go. Again, this issue will have come out. Chances are by the time this video, I think the big issue comes out in 2 weeks as of the recording this video. I don't know. Anyway, Dear Perch, after reading the leaked pages from Amazing Spider-Man number 25, it is clear that none of what Zeb Wells is hinting at with MJ really mattered. It's all going to more or less be a fake out and be nothing that will matter in the future. Could the point of getting all the fans pissed about what they are doing to MJ to both make them buy the title out of rage? To be both to make them buy the title. Okay. So that when they bring back the marriage around Amazing Spider-Man 1000, they can prey upon the outrage and increase in sales to even higher numbers. The writing's on the wall regarding the Peter-MJ relationship in other media, with the relationship even stronger in the minds of the normie audience. Hell, I would argue that Zeb Wells' entire run is just filler while waiting for someone else to take over the title in a year or so. Maybe so they could be waiting for Donny Cates to get his shit together and take over. Donny Cates has never come back to Marvel. Though that might be just me speculating. Was the whole Moira wearing MJ to the Hellfire Gala ever resolved anyway? All right, so back to front, sort of. They did do a two-parter with Wolverine and Spider-Man, kind of to resolve the, Moira wearing MJ. It wound up being less dramatic than the comics made it out that they were about to skin Moira and like wear her around as a flesh suit because that's skin MJ, and Moira was going to wear her skin around because that's what she said more or less in the Free Comic Book Day. But then she didn't really do that. She had like a magical necklace that was controlling her. Anyway, or tech net, whatever. It was resolved. And she was saved and no harm, no foul. And then she got some magical powers. And then there was the whole, fighting demons with the soul sword and limbo and a bunch of stuffs. Anyway, it's been a wacky year. Uh, Look, to what you said, the thing that the comics revolve around, whether you like it or not at this point, is the more mainstream massive media. And it's decided that the Peter and MJ relationship, or Peter plus MJ, is forever tied. And they can have them be kind of dating, flirting, kind of, a lot of different things. But you've got video games, you've got movies, you've got everything else. That's what it's going to be. They're going to have those two forever linked together. So in many ways, the comic books have a choice. They can either kind of fight against that but never fully escape it because they can't, or they can more or less embrace what the movies are doing and kind of write stories around it and try and do the best things they can. That's the better answer, because that's the one that doesn't look like the writers are, schizophrenic. But we'll see. As I've said in other videos, the comic book movie relationship continues to be just incredibly weird. Of kind of resisting, not resisting. It's very odd to me, honestly, why comic books have this love-hate relationship with movies. I mean, you can speculate on lots of things, and I'm sure lots of perfectly good and likely answers, but it is weird. Anyway, yeah, that relationship is fixed in the minds of the normies. So no matter what they do, and no matter what kind of clever storylines they put together, and all the rest, Peter Parker is going to wind up with Mary Jane, or at least be linked to Mary Jane. The two are a set. That's just that's how it's going to be. That's how it is. So, people can argue about it. We can do all kinds of things, but that's where it's going to wind up in the end. As for this title, I mean, undoubtedly it's going to be a fake out. You look at this thing, it's like, they can kill MJ, or pretend to kill MJ. They know that the fans, and this is one of those areas where, you either have to kind of ignore it or hate Nick Lowe more for it. He knows exactly how wrapped up the fans are in MJ, and he knows exactly that over the years that Marvel has pissed off the fans pretty good with the digging her out of MJ. He knows all this. He knows it incredibly well, and he knows that he can basically, play on it, and he does. And so all of this, just back and forth with MJ and everything else, is bait. In effect, it's the Amazing Spider bait. It is absolutely sales bait, where their goal is to get you kind of angry, concerned, outraged, and everything else. And it's a classic, what did we do? Kind of, in fact, that you've seen in comic books a lot. They know that this is the business strategy. They know that, they can get a bunch of people worked up over, this relationship and everything else that's going on. And so that it equals sales. They do have the math in their head that if they kind of tweak and tweak and tweak and get the fans really pissed off, that most of the fans will keep buying anyway, or every now and then you throw them a kind of some level of breadcrumb and you get a bunch of, get monster sales. I think that's, by the way, why, or one of the lessons they took from when Nick Spencer took over Spider-Man, and he basically reinstituted the Peter Mary Jane marriage kind of right out the gate, or not marriage, but sorry, relationship. They were dating. And we had seen it, the will they, won't they, not going to date, not going to be a couple, but, here they are, and all the rest. We'd seen it for years. And so Spencer did, a smart move, basically saying, I'm going to start this run off of a very, fan favorite, fan popular move. And he did. And it worked out quite nicely. And sales were popped big. I'm sure the lesson that kind of came in there was, hey, we could actually be toying with this Mary Jane relationship more. My feeling is that, Dan Slott, who of course had that very long run on Spider-Man, my feeling is that he didn't like the Peter Parker and Mary Jane relationship. He just, in his soul, he didn't like it, didn't want it, just resisted. And so I think he bent over backwards to do kind of anything he could to avoid, that relationship, to avoid kind of steering into it. And so it read that way, whether it's true or not. It certainly came across like that. So, even though there was the possibility for huge sales by teasing this relationship, and Slott knew it when they did the Spider Island bit, and they had little scenes that seemed to indicate they were getting closer together, and he didn't want it ultimately. Spencer, I think, was a different story. I think Spencer was like, fuck it, I want sales. I think his his mode was completely different. Because even the conclusion of Spencer's run, which was kind of like Tom King's on Batman, seemed to come faster than expected, intended, or wanted. Uh, he was still pushing the Peter Parker Mary Jane is a couple, and that's a relationship, and he was on board with it. I don't know. Zeb coming in feels like another one of the let's just kind of toy with the fans over and over and bait this thing out for as far as we can go. I don't know. Amazing Spider-Man 1000, to me, that feels like here's the conversation in Marvel. Hey, a bunch of fans are expecting that we finally tie this thing back together, we resolve one more day, and that'd be a great thing to tease and, play out for Amazing Spider-Man 1000. A bunch of people will come back to the book and we'll get really big sales if we tease it in that moment. But we can't deliver it. Let's not be crazy. Let's not actually give back the merit. Let's not actually, get them back together. We've got to end this thing with another Lucy picks up the football right as Charlie Brown comes into it. We got to keep doing that because that's what fans love. They love to constantly have their emotions toyed with, and that's what it makes us a lot of money because people keep coming back to the football over and over and over again, even though it's clear we're not going to let them kick it anyway. I suspect they're going to tease heavily, for the big anniversary issue that they're going to resolve this. And finally, we're going to deal with this marriage and all the rest. And then you're going to pick up the comic and it's going to be like, Peter Parker learned the secret, but then it was too hard for him because he couldn't handle all the guilt. So he asked Norman Osborn to erase that part of his memory. And now everybody knows but Peter, and MJ knows that their marriage was erased and she wants to get back together, but Peter's memory is just too fragile, and if she just tells him outright, then it will cause him to, have a mental breakdown. And so, she's got to kind of try and hint and tease it out of him, but not too fast, or will cause issues. And this causes her to be depressed. So she moves out to California for a while, and we do a little 4-issue limited series where she's filming another movie that she was involved in, and maybe we'll get Leah Williams and her boobs to come and write that. And that's how we'll do. Anyway, I don't know. I think we're in bait land forever. Marvel, always baiting. Yeah. Anyway, what do you think? The issue will have been out, so maybe Marvel will violently murder so they get Simon Bisley to come in and, draw those pages of Mary Jane just getting eviscerated on the page. And, all this will be wrong. But yeah, I smell bait and switch. We'll see. Always baiting. Thanks for listening.